Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya 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 hey ha yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagi ktabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagi ktabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagi ktabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagi ktabi ichachia ya bino hey yo yeehaw
Madakuyepi. Ke iushki wan chian kampi chante washtea iuha na pe chuzapi.
oh
Ke Elijah Hopkins demie. Wakchinja wakpa won't spend one kantu ya. Dachi ya dayan ya hipido. Hello, relatives, and it's good to see you all here, and welcome to the Buffalo Chasers podcast. coming to you live, to you live from Fort Peck Community College, located in beautiful Poplar, Montana. As always, we are joined by our Dekshi, Mr. Tommy Christian. And before we get started with the this week's 13-week episode, we'll have an open discussion, but we will ask Dekshi if he would start us off with a prayer in a good way.
Oh, la wopila chicha pelo tushka daya chano ya stelo. How me dakia pidaya he piushimalo omakia wachekia ampetukile na hekchewe chashamelo. Ohe chajemita na wamnisha ge na doba imakia ushimalo omakia. Aha he antukashila wakantaka tateya doba unchimakana makaina. Nakumi take pe wanagi makpea ktaya ge hocho ka kta hiupo ushia ke mitake pe wanai okia wo ushi wichala po wichozani upi heja ushia ke mitake pe naha winuk chala pe wichak chala pe na kanja pe hokshila pe winchin chala pe na koshkapi na we koshkapi wichozani washte upi naha chanku washte upi okia wo ushi wichala po. Aha heya tu kashila na wakantanka kiksiapo mitaki piagichita oyate kizuya ekta na uchasha bele wea bile chanku washte upi ampetikile na ha okia wa ushi wichalapo. Aha heya tu kashila wakantanka kiksiapo mitaki pinaha unchi makao mani wayazapi na okia chawo ushi wichalapo na unshia ke mitaki pi unchi makao mani na hachante yoksija omani owi chakiapo ushi wichalapo. Atu kashela wakantanka oyate oyasi chanku luta aga omani owi chakiapo ushi wichalapo. Ktewi chasha mielo naha lakolia naha jik ala naha wasijo owagalake lila washtelo naha ushimalo omakia naha wasijo owagalake naha uchikia. My grandfathers, as we come to you on this beautiful day that you have gifted us, we're going to ask you in a good way to help us understand the importance of our purpose and our dedication in life as we continue to pursue this contemporary way of understanding one another as we come to our computers and this thing that stores things, as we would say in our language. And we ask that you help us to understand how pitiful we are at times like this. And we're going to ask you for strength of mind, strength of heart, strength of body, strength of spirit as we continue to walk this red road in a good way. And we have good things out there. We ask that there's individuals out there that are suffering at this time. And some of them are suffering spiritually. So we ask that you watch over them and guide them. They're denying themselves food and water, wishing to gain this understanding of their direction, their purpose, and their dedication in life. So we ask that you watch over them on this day and help us all to understand the importance of the honor and the dignity that they maintain for the sake of our integrity. So as we go forward on this day, ask that you continue to pity all of those that carry these positions of leadership at the Fort Peck Community College in this Buffalo Chaser society. We ask that we continue to have these strong hearts to help us realize the importance of how our people are depending on us to make good roads for them as it relates to our future endeavors. And so on this day we come and we ask that you'll continue to watch over all of those that look after this freedom, that protect us by putting themselves in harm's way for our sake. And we're talking about all of those men and women that are providing a service to all of us by defending this freedom that sometimes we take for granted, but at times like this we definitely appreciate. So we come to you on this day with good thoughts and good prayers for the sake of those that are walking around in a mournful way and those that are dealing with illness and sickness. And we ask that you continue to look after and watch over them. So we're grateful. Wana mitaki api wana aglipi hechetu alo dayai chano hechetu wopila chicha pelo ekchewi chashamelo how mitaki oasi wamakashka oasi hechetu huka.
Oh, Pidame Adex. So week 13, open discussion topic, we invited a few individuals, and lo and behold, I want to thank our student Itancha, our student leader, um, for joining us today, Mr. Gifford Standing. It's always good to have representation from the students here, and he's also a member of the Fort Pitt Community College Board of Directors, so he's also my boss. So the more we have these individuals like him, and last week we had a couple WIAs joining us, so it creates a good sense of balance. You know, we have a good overall view of what mental health resources look like, and so one of the main things every week, man, is that what we're trying to do is get out this message, a healthy message of mental health resources, and individuals like Dekshi Tommy can provide that cultural insight, kind of help guide us in a good way. And it looks like we have,
balance, Gabado.
oh, that's that. And looks like we have another individual joining the call, Miss Clark. Hey, wash do. So yeah, we figured this week we would just keep it to be an open discussion. You know, we can have it kind of go wherever, but just as a review, I mean, I think in general, all of our discussions have been centered around inclusion, healthy ways of being. Okay, and so part of that is introducing students, community members to resources that maybe a prayerful way of life. That's why individuals like Dekshi and we incorporate that into our programming with this podcast. That's always going to be at the center of what we do. And in his prayer, he was talking a lot about different individuals in our community that go through loss. And one of the ways that we address these things, create balance in our lives, is to talk. And I think this podcast gives us a good platform. And so whichever way you guys wanted to steer this discussion, I'm all for it.
Oh, Hechitu, Toshka. Oh, Dayaya, he Toshka. Gifford. Chajen ta Nakonya Dagu. Gifford, do you have an Indian name?
Wamni Tonga Yojanana, Big Whistling Eagle.
How do you say that?
Wamni Tonga Yojanana.
Oh, you're whistling with eagles or what?
Big Whistling Eagle.
Oh, Hechitu. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And then I just wanted to share with Toja Lynette. I was looking for that Huhu Pejuta. I found it, and so whenever you get back to the office, remind me because I left it it's in my office. We'll try it. Remember that medicine for your bones? I was looking around for some papers, and yeah, they're on mute too, my girl. But I found it.
Okay.
So just remind me, and I'll get it to you. Try it out anyway. See if those Indians and damn savages know what they're doing. But anyway, welcome. Oh, you're doing good, my girl, by coming and helping us out, and again, those sorts of things to achieve that balance. You're providing that understanding for all of the women, and I hope Toja Alex could make it too as well. But anyway, one of the things, Toshka, what we got to do is as we continue to go forward in this way, we got to kind of prepare ourselves for that attack. And when I say that, because we're trying to remain apolitical, well, that bothers people. Yeah, and it makes them get real defensive and real like say bad things, but we're not doing it to criticize, judge, or say anything about them, but they'll attack us. So we got to prepare for that. Let them know, like, you got people that are wanting to be medicine men that are exploiting our culture for the sake of selling drugs or chasing young children around and stuff like that for the sake of control. But we got to keep ourselves that dignity and that honor for the sake of the integrity that we represent. we're not trying to be better than anybody. We're not trying to be holy. We're not trying to be political. We're just trying to understand the importance of continuing to walk this red road in such a good way. Oyate oyasi chaku luta aga omani. Yeah, eh? That makes sense? Think about that. And that's what that means. It's a kind of a general overview of this attitude of inclusiveness that brings everybody together. And that red road represents that dignity and that honor in a spiritual sense, but at the same time, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Are you drinking? Are you doing drugs? Or if you were sick, where would you go? To a hospital. And so we're dealing with mental illness here. And so, what is a good place for you to hang out and at least just listen? You might realize an avenue personally based on critical thinking, being intuitive to help yourself heal yourself in a mental health sort of a way. So that's what we're providing. And so, but we're going to be attacked. There's going to be people out there. Oh, who in the heck that Tommy Christian think he is? And saying all this, and he ain't no medicine. I'm not no medicine. That's what I say. I'm not a medicine man. I'm not a holy man, but I do fix things ceremonial wise, eh? And because I was taught that. And so I'm not trying to be anything other than that. But there are people that will do that. And so the reason I'm saying this, Tushka, is because of Gifford, Lynette, and various others that associate themselves with individuals like us. We have to be ready to be attacked personally, and don't take it personal, because that's a characteristic of that oppression that people have been experiencing and taking it on under that auspice of Stockholm syndrome as it relates to this internalized oppression. Lateral violence is a big part of that. And so we need to recognize they're not enemies, but they're people that are very insecure with who and what they are, and they'll attack us. But all we're trying to do is just provide an avenue on how they see the center, affording them the right of their own integrity to address these issues. And I'm so glad Toshka, Big Whistling Eagle, is here, because again, in that representation from governmental departments, he can share what he hears here with his contemporaries where he works from, and they can accept it or not. But at the same time, that's what I'm saying. That's how we prepare ourselves for this attitude of not necessarily defending per se, but just living. Okay, but don't let them affect you, because the thing that lateral violence does, it's that crabs in a barrel, eh? They bring you right down. Somebody accomplishes a little bit something, and we try to do something good, and classic internalized oppressive attitudes come in, and oh, who do they think they are? We're Indians, and we've been living like this. And like you young people, Lynette and Toshka, you guys, you're trying to live like that. You're trying. I'm an old man. I'm 68 years old, but you guys are trying to maintain a sense of maintaining that integrity of what you represent as it relates to your Dakota or your Nakona. And like my brother, when he sings that song, oh man, just like that, it just brings back so many good memories based on the teachings he shared with me. And so just that song just boom brings it back like that. Well, that's my Assiniboine side. We're also going to get incorporated a Dakota side of identifying the buffalo chasers with our program too, to achieve, and we're aspiring to that sense of balance to make everything good, so they can't say, oh, they're just being Assiniboine or they're just being Dakota. We want that all inclusiveness and our appearances to share just that. Does that make sense? Because I'm so glad that Gifford is here, Big Whistling Eagle. And so I just wanted to share that, to kind of, in this open discussion, to help them understand we're addressing critical thought, we're addressing healthy living from a mental health perspective, we're trying to deal with the impact of COVID and what that virus has done to us in respect to utilizing a contemporary way to convey some of our feelings, our emotions. You look at powwow, that's what they do. That's what the dancers do. They share with us with all the bright colors and keeping the beat to the heartbeat of our Mother Earth, and they express themselves. Well, this is another form of expression in a contemporary way of how we do this. So, but we got to get used to it. I remember Suzanne last time. Oh, I was kind of scared to get on it. No, no, don't be scared. And it's kind of intimidating. You guys you talk like, yeah, well, we're used to it. We did 13 weeks of it now. But that's something that we're trying to establish. What do you guys think of it? Because I could go on and on, but what do you guys think of that? Gifford. Yeah.
Well, I'll just chime in real quick. As far as when you're talking about Deksha, like the lateral violence, I think important, like you were saying, for me anyways, I think a good approach is to not trying to ever take anything personal. Not trying to take anything personal, and it's really a reflection of other people's unhealthy views, and we shouldn't let that kind of throw us off our game, as they say, man. It's kind of like for all you ballers, man, those people talking smack in the crowd, man, you can let that throw us off our game. We're going to cross them up, right? But it's that same type of approach. And so we want to be healthy and be aware of things. And I also think along the lines of mental health is, we've talked about it before, and there's the mental side, the emotional side, the physical side, and the spiritual side of our beings. We want to kind of at least talk about those things and be aware of them. Self-awareness, I think, is super important. And then what we say to individuals I think is important. And we try to be positive or healthy, I think is a better word, healthy. And what we say is really, really important. I've heard that in sweat lodges for a while, individuals that are experienced with these types of things, is that, when we say things, it's almost like we're putting it out there, right? And we want to have put out healthy things, right? Because those words can create action, and we want to have good things, as far as our circle, and for those that are important to us, and because we're influencing our future, right? In a day-to-day thing. And so I think stuff like going to ceremonies or sweats, super important. Or if you don't have the opportunity to go, I think it's just being active. We talked about this in the past. Go down to the river, go for a walk, go for a hike, go for a run. That's one thing I've always thought was super important, is just physical fitness for me. Some people might not have those luxuries to do certain things, but I truly try and put some of my energy into an outlet that's constructive. So that's one thing for students that are listening, is it's going to be different probably for everybody, but if you do not do anything with that energy, it will, I think, in my opinion, it manifests itself in potentially harmful ways. And we want to be constructive with those energies and put it towards good things. And I thought it was really cool. Last week, we talked about different things. What do some of us, as we're trying to aspire to be aware and live a life of inclusion within this Chanhadeshka, where do we fit into that? And what do we have to offer to put it? Because we all have different talents, right? And we all do. And we need to figure out what those are and cultivate those and put that out there. And then that puts us not above anybody, but not below anybody, but we're right here, and we can all contribute to this communal type of thinking, because we have to take care of ourselves at an individual level in order for us to be healthy, to contribute to the overall well-being of our community. And so in this Buffalo Chaser model, the Buffalo Society, this what we're trying to cultivate here, it requires our participation. It requires us to cultivate those things for the enhancement of everybody, right? And so I think I can't say that enough, and I really appreciate Dekshi's guidance. That that's something that we're going to aspire to, and we're going to have our knocks, man. Every week it's something. It's like, oh, the mic wasn't working, giving us heck, man, or man or something, right? But we managed to work our way through those things, and those are good examples of, I think, in all of our walks, that we have to kind of overcome those things and still put our best foot forward. So what do you guys think about that? Washtehe?
Yeah, I like that, and touch on what Uncle Tommy was saying, you know, about words and what we say, what you were just saying about words and what we say, and being careful on how we speak and talk to one another. We can always say that it's very easy to let that go, to not worry about, to not think about it. But we're human. It's of our nature to wonder and care about what other people think about us, whether it's good or bad. And when it's good, we'll hold on to that, but we're quick to forget that good that people share with us, and we'll gravitate to that negative and we'll hold on to it. And what comes to my mind is that ever since you're a kid, you get taught, you know, sticks and stones break your bones, words never hurt you. But from my experience through my journey in life, which isn't very much, but man, some of the deepest scars were from words that people said, what they thought about me. And it's none of my business to worry about what other people think of me. So once it gets in my head, once they have that real estate in my head and their negative thought is there, it's up to me to do the work to get it out, whatever that may be, whether it's reaching out to an elder, someone to help guide me on what tools I could use to get that out of my head, but to change that perception and to get to that process, what you just mentioned on, Elijah, about it's their unhealthy perception. Why am I picking that up? Why am I adding that to what I got going on to mess my game up?
Yeah, and we have to it's really easy to get pulled into that kind of stuff. That's why I've always enjoyed working at the college. You know, I've been there for 28 years, and because it's always positive, it's always learning. And you watch people grow there in a good way. And so you know, as I was getting my degrees, people would say, "Oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" Everybody had a plan for me. And I just loved working at the college because people were growing and it was positive. I like positive. And you're right, Gifford, you know, it hurts when people say negative about you. But you know, like sometimes we just got to kind of sit back and think about who said it and where they're at in their life, and keep them in prayer. We always got to remember prayers first, and keep them in our prayer, and hope that maybe someday that they come down a more positive road. What kind of road are they on? You know, when you're not in a good way, you're not feeling good. It's easy to be angry. You're angry at the world. You're angry at people. You're angry, your history, past. Where did you go? Oh, you know, everybody blamed somebody for something, but yet nobody wants to be responsible to take action for what they're doing today. So they want to jump to, you know, oh, look at they're doing that and they're doing that. What are you doing? You know, they're the ones that you want to ask that. As soon as they want to, you know, criticize everybody, it's like, well, what are you doing? I sit on boards. I have sat on boards, and, you know, people do that to me, you know, oh, you guys did this, you guys did that, you guys made that decision. And it's like, what are you doing to change it? What are you doing to change it? I'm trying to out there making a change, and I'm doing it at the best of my ability, or what kind of tools that I've had to do it with. And I just, you know, I just got to smile at them and just, you know, like, thank you for the criticism. I guess I'll take it in a good way and go from there. I could just move forward from that, though.
Yeah. You know, yeah, that's the way. I was sharing this in a good way because this is like open discussion. Kind of do a little bit of housekeeping as it relates to our podcast here, and kind of catch up with ourselves, because you know, when you sit in positions of leadership, they're going to attack you based on historical trauma and based on an internalized oppression. And then it comes down to things such as lateral violence. But we got to understand, Toshka, big whistling eagle, got to understand that's a learned behavior. And if it's learned, we can unlearn it. And that's what we're wishing to provide here is an option, nothing more, nothing less. They can choose their own manner in which they look at the center, affording them the right of their own integrity as they see it. But it's got to be shared, like what Toshka, Elijah said. You got to be able to communicate. You got to be able to share that from a cultural perspective. Otherwise, you're not going to know what's on the other side of that circle as they look to the center. And then once we all are able to share what we see, we have a better understanding of what that center really is. And, you know, basically, the things in the center are our children. And that represents our future, spiritually. And so you always try to protect and provide for them, even in a spiritual sense. The men have a responsibility in that matriarchal society that we belong to. And then at the same time, the men in those patriarchal societies take on that responsibility of leadership consistently in a spiritual way, but yet at the same time, they kind of take the lead and just go for it. Whereas in a matriarchal society, it's kind of guided by the women. And you know, naturally, that's happening in our world. How did we know there was going to be a silver lining in this virus, this big dark cloud of virus, silver lining? This is it. Look what happened in Northern Cheyenne. Look at their leadership. Who are they? Look at the leadership of the Department of Interior, which we are wards of this branch of government, all Indian people. For the first time ever, an Indian is that individual. And she has the understanding, if you ever heard her speak, she was on commands, man. She was kind of toughing it out, kind of had a tough time growing up. So she can relate to our perspective. But the thing that we always do is we share our perspective, and we only look at it from our way. We don't look at the peripherals and take in a consideration of others for the sake of the greater good, they say. And that's what that lady, that congresswoman, has got to do, is be able to apply herself, not to where we expect anything from her, but do what she can just based on her understanding of her growth and where she's at now. And we need to support her. We need to support those leaders down in Northern Cheyenne. We need to support our ladies on this level, not to lead like men, argue, fight, and didn't want to go to blows, but incorporate. And Lynette, you just said it. There's time for prayer. Okay, these men are fighting. Hey, wait, slow down. You guys are supposed to be leaders. Represent. Maybe we need to pray about it. And then you smudge everybody and they calm down. They quit trying to fight. See, that's what we're trying to incorporate. But yet we have to prepare ourselves and strengthen, make our circle strong to prevent us from being invaded with whatever their Trojan horse is, like alcohol. Some of them are closet drinkers, but they won't admit it, but they still try to be medicine men. Some of them are doing drugs and they, give me them drugs, I'll smudge them up for you and throw them away for you. Then they go and take them. I know that's going on. I see that all the time. And it's sad when those things are compromised, because again, that's why I was sharing last time, we're all citizens of this natural law. If we stop and we think about it, everybody, that's such an inclusive statement. And then for us to really wish at the level of education that we've been through, to really try to become the catalyst or that focal point of implementing a cultural perspective in schools, like what Suzanne was talking about last time, not only from birth, but mainly from the Head Start perspective. We need to implement, and I know that there's there's a group called that, and then of course, and Andrea's little program she has there. They're trying to implement this educational cultural perspective in our educational process. And then, of course, our non-Indian relatives don't think it's important. You're in the middle of a reservation. Yes, it is important. And we need to not force our way in there, but we need to finesse it so that they can understand the importance of that representation of an Indian perspective without having to hang our identity at the classroom door and then go in. Then when we come out, pick it up again. Does that make sense, guys? You see, and in that process, we're not trying to tell them they have to, nor do we expect anything from them, but we're trying to afford them an opportunity, an avenue of approach of dealing and incorporating these, melding them together so they can bring all of our children up to an understanding of the importance of growth. The enhancement and the enrichment of this natural law process is important to all because of the Changleshka, as you would say there, Elijah. But that's kind of bringing us to this point to where we really need to sit down and not be afraid of representing who we are, affording ourselves the right of our own integrity, not being afraid of stepping in, but being respectful. You see, when we go into an argument, it's like I'm trying to control it. But if you go into it respectfully, you're not trying to control a situation, you're just trying to make it work. Understand the system and make it work for you. So with all those years that I sat on the tribal council, they called me a racist because I wouldn't say nothing, but they didn't recognize the respect I was having for them by not arguing with them. And so what that told me is they weren't understanding how one respects one another, eh? And in that process, because I didn't cuss at them and call them names and whatnot, oh, Tommy Christian's scared. I wasn't scared. They're Dakota, they're Nakona just like me. Why would I want to treat them bad just because they treated me bad? And in that process, we need to realize, what are we exuding here? What are we wishing to accomplish? What are we trying to establish as the foundation of this value system that always gives reference to natural law, and not trying to go back and live in a teepee and wagon days, but to maintain this respect, the dignity and the honor that's needed to maintain the integrity of who we are. And I'm talking about like today, not last year, 100 years ago, Lila he hani, Nina wanangasha. No, today, ampetu, they say in our language. But does that make sense to you guys? You see, we need to understand the system and make it work for us. And that's why I was sharing. We need to prepare ourselves not to take it personal, like you were saying, Toshka, Elijah. Not to take it personal. Eh? Just say, well, okay. But in that way, Toja, that's where you say when somebody comes attacks you, a respectful question you can ask them is, who taught you that? Who taught you that? Who taught you how to act like that? And then if they tell you who that is, then you go talk to their teacher. You don't talk to them. You don't make them feel bad. You go talk to their teacher. How come you're teaching them that? Why? Where does that come from?
Oh, Dex.
Then, yeah, go ahead.
Would it be, I think for a good learning opportunity, because humiliating people and arguing with people in front of groups of people isn't our way, So like taking some tobacco, talking to these individuals, and just having a private conversation with them, and getting to that conversation privately, I think is a ohoda. It's more of like that respectful way.
Yeah. And you see, Toshka Gifford, that's the thing, that the system itself, to avoid the systematic racism that seems to be implied in their what they call regulatory authority, which they refer to as policy. That's where they need to start. In Indian country, they need to start adapting that. There's other ways that we can address these issues: reparative justice, restorative justice, whatever you want to call it. And one thing that In my dealings with young people, one of the things I never share with them, they might hear it now, but when you're dealing with young people, you should never let them know they should never have a last chance. That makes sense, Gifford? Think about that. Because if you, I, or any of us on this podcast, if we had a last chance, guess what? We wouldn't be here now. But yet, look at that, where that regulatory authority goes. It wants to take them to some sort of sense of finality. Eh? Okay, you finished the service treatment agreement. Okay, now you're done. No, I'm not done. What? I'm done because somebody told me I'm done? No, you continue to live that. Like alcohol treatment. It's not going to make you better. It's just an educational process to help you make better decisions in your life. And so, but everybody thinks you go to alcohol treatment, you're healed. No, you're not. And then also, they think that they start utilizing the sweat lodge as a treatment center. It's not a treatment center. It's a place to ask for help, man. And you see, but putting those things in perspective is, I think, the next stage. And like me and Toshka Elijah were talking the other day, ultimately, there's a goal for us. We're going somewhere. There's some direction. Yeah, and there's some guidance that's going, and we want to get away from the effects of historical trauma, internalized oppression. You know, some of this Stockholm syndrome stuff that's going on, where we take on their values. The greatest tool of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed, and dealing with these issues, and not being afraid to. Where do you hide your Indian when you're trying to act white, sort of a thing? Let's get rid of that. Because again, you don't have to hang your Indian identity on the door when you go in the classroom and then pick it up on the way out. Why is that accepted, especially on a reservation? That's not a criticism, that's addressing the reality. And that's what we're wishing to affect, if they want it. If they don't want it, then, and you're on a reservation, you kind of have to look inwardly and say, why? And that's another reason that I kind of took away from I got away from the leadership. I wasn't affecting social change. It was going away from me. All my support passed away because they were all old people. And so again, I didn't take it personal. I was doing it at the wish of others. And so in that, once they all passed away, I no longer had that support or that understanding of my leadership capabilities. And so they called me racist and Indian because I just hung around Indians and all that. But that's what we got to make sure we don't let that affect us. We can't take it personal. We got to understand our conviction to in dealing with this virus, this COVID-19. I heard there's a COVID-21 now that's coming about. And so we really got to strengthen what it is, our circle, with legitimacy, with understanding, and based on observation of watching. Are these people consistent, or are they people that are just trying to get to these positions of authority for the sake of manipulation or exploitation? And you listen to them and say, oh man, that's why you never admonish or you put down the student. You always ask, who taught you that? Then you go talk to their teachers as to why they're proliferating such bullshit. Well, and so then you don't, the sensitivity of the young people, always looking for something. You know, I got a young son right now. He's in the cold, freezing. He's fasting. And he's crying for a vision right now. He don't come out till Friday morning. And that's the thing that people would not understand. It's winter time. Why is he doing it now? Well, if you think about it, you'll understand it. You'll understand why he's doing it in the middle of winter, on during the solstice. And then once you do that, and then you'll be able to value that decision of that young man, to really identify as he looks inwardly to understand his purpose and dedication. And so this is what we'd like for them to understand, not to exploit it for the sake of chasing this capitalistic perspectives that will usually turn into colonialized thought, eh? And that's why I don't like the term decolonization, because it has negative connotations to it. Nothing wrong with being colonized if that's the way you live, because that then it excludes them, and we're not wishing to be exclusive. Does that make sense, guys? See, even the colonizers are a part of us long ago. When they had tough times, they were starving. The Indians came down, 20,000 Indians watching 100 people go through their territory. They watched them until they were just about ready to die. They went and got them, and they fed them because they were dying of starvation. They had the dysentery and whatever else because they didn't know how to survive. And so the natives went and got them. Say, here, eat this, eat that. And guess what they took? Washi ichu. Washi ichu. What does that mean in our language? They took the fat and ate it up. And that's based on observation because they were starving. And so we helped them. And so this whole consistency, as we come to understanding these things, will definitely have a positive effect. Because look at the women in Northern Cheyenne, the woman in that position in Department of Interior, the women on our tribal council. Nobody is supporting them, letting them try to lead like men and act and argue and fight like men. That's not what we want. We want them to be compassionate, empathetic, sympathetic to the people that are in dire need. That's what it is to be understanding of being a citizen of natural law. Does that make sense? I'm going on, and I can, but I want you guys to get involved. Food for thought. Why not? Yeah.
Well, I think I'll hop in here. I think there was a lot covered there in previous podcasts. I think a lot of what's healthy is our perspectives and the conversation itself and gathering together in spaces like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, other podcasts, just because Nexia had so much experience as Ayapaha. Ayapaha he has that right to stand in front of the people and speak. He's a veteran. He's a lot of experience. And so I think just having a platform like this, and I think the term is synergy, right? You have someone like myself that comes on is like a IT savvy, right? I can get on. Just because of my position at the college, I can utilize our Facebook page and the technology and connect all the resources. We have a community resource leader like Dexton come on and infuse cultural knowledge, and so those two parts are better together. We create something even better, and I think that's a good analogy for what we want to aspire to as a communal source of healing and leadership development here at the college with our society. And so like all these stories and whatnot that actually shares its perspective. And I think especially the students that are listening, it's not meant to tell anybody, but rather we're sharing. And I think it's through that process, through non-linear thinking, which is more reflection. We're able to process things. Prayer is non-linear. We're able to learn from different things. And when I was listening to talk earlier about the silver lining COVID, this is one of these platforms, is that silver lining. We're able to gather. It took something, unfortunately, like that for us to leverage these resources, for all of us to get together, to share. Ideally, naturally, we would like to be face-to-face, ceremonially, in groups, because we all like to eat and visit. But we've learned to adapt and to come together like this, and hopefully have a big impact with our students, just as a place and a resource for them to share. Other things, specifically at the college, we're trying to cultivate other things as well. We have every Friday a virtual talking circle, and we're still kind of like the Wakanja. We're still like developing, right? We're gonna get better, but these resources, that are nonlinear, I think create a balance at our institution. We've always been like the beacon of light from what I was told. Fort Peck Community College was established in 1978, but I believe I wasn't even alive then. But from what I've been told, Fort Peck Community Colleges, we've always had this apolitical status within the community.
Yeah.
And we want to maintain that, continue to have that, and really enhance it, but continue to utilize the cultural resources to create that balance within our institution, to have so students have a better experience and they're able to go out into the community and affect change. And hopefully we have get to a place of a healthier community. There's been discussion over the years, well, let's change Fort Peck Community College's name to something more traditional. Let's be the Dakota, Lakota, Onspe Wankantuya, but they say, some of the Atanches say that we'll never do that because we're always going to be here for the community. We need to keep that wording in there. And the more I thought about that, I think that's more appropriate.
Like with Lynette and Gifford has grown. It's not just us four, because Elijah puts it on YouTube, and we got big audience on YouTube, man, like a lot of these, and that's why we talk like we're sharing to like we're talking to a vast majority of people, because again, there's so many people that are finding this podcast interesting enough to listen to us, to take the time out of their life to listen to us. So and again, that's why it's so beautiful that Gifford and Lynette come and participated in and weren't afraid, because what they're representing are those people that are locals. They have every right to come up and step up and not listen to, the ones that are talking about that gravitate to those positions of authority for the sake of selfish needs. Usually those individuals aren't from here, but yet they start all this gabado, eh? And so, the ones that are from other places and they're outsiders and they come here and they've been living off this dysfunction for so long, they hate to see something positive come in, strengthening to come in. They don't want to see that strength, because then they feed on the weak, eh? And we're only as strong as our weakest link. Not to be so cliche-ish in that manner, but again, that our culture is based on natural law, and that natural law is very what do they call diverse, but at the same time, based on our language and our ceremony, is very unique. And also in understanding that it needs to become an enhancement and enrichment for the sake of the growth of our children that represent our future. And in that, you can even include for the sake of the growth of our women, because they've been oppressed even more so than the men have. We could defend ourselves. The women sometimes, anybody ever think about how come the non-Indian society would hire women, Indian women, before they'd hire Indian men? Because the Indian men, if they got fired, they'd beat them up. Indian women just get mad, cuss them out, and leave. But you have to take that into consideration. That's not a criticism, that's a reality. And so the Indian women really had to humble themselves to stay the breadwinner for the sake of protecting their family, their core, that nucleus of the family. And so they had to stand up and bite their tongue so many times, because it was in their heart to represent for the sake of the family. They had to forego a lot of their honor and their dignity at times. I'm not saying always, but I'm saying at times. But now is an opportunity, with the recognition of what Northern Cheyenne did, with the recognition of this lady running the Department of Interior that affects us directly because we're still considered wards of the government, and to maintain that apoliticalness like Toshka was talking about. The beauty of the community college is it tries to always remain apolitical. Oh man, I think that's so cool. But we can't let them involve themselves in something that is that beautiful and to ruin it just based on that association. As much as we're inclusive, we can still understand the importance of making sure that you're maintaining the dignity, you're maintaining that honor based on observation. long ago, Lila Hehani, Nina Wanangash, if somebody did an unnatural act to a child, what they would do under this restorative justice, reparative justice attitude is they would kick them out of the tribe. And what that meant is that meant certain death because there was strength in numbers at that time in that tribal perspective. Well, they'd kick them out on their own. And so it wasn't us killing them. They eventually would end up dead because the elements would take their life. And that was an act of this higher power, the spiritual energy, not us. That's how much we respected that. But we always made sure that people were, there was consequences for that antisocial behaviorism, they call it now. Back then it was very unnatural. And when you took a life for defending your people, your family, your core, they would always acknowledge that in an honorable way by dancing in the counterclockwise direction when you honored the veterans or those that had to defend you. So we looked at taking a life as something that was unnatural, but we always honored it. And in that, it was because you had purpose and you served for them. Well, we're protecting, in a sense, if you look at it, a way of life that is good for everybody. We're not trying to make popes or priests or anybody holy, but we're just trying to establish a buffalo chaser, which is that's Indian people, eh? The tribe of Indian people, and or whatever, however you choose to refer to that. And that's all we're trying to do is make it available to them, help them understand this is being um, what did we say, archived, and it'll be there. That's why we're going to catch up to ourselves with this open discussion. But anyway, I know we're almost at the end of the hour here, but Toshka, we try to keep it at an hour for the sake of consistency. I know we usually go on Thursday, but today's Wednesday, and we're going to go back to our same schedule on the 19th, starting somewhere in there. But we're going to maintain that consistency. And the more we get, the more we got people involved. Maybe they want to change the date. That will be based on the collective, not on us. We're not running it, Tushka, but we invite people, want them to come in, but we're going to get back on schedule after the White People's New Year. Of course, we know ours starts at Sundance time, blah, 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 in Neophyte Indian perspective. But we're acknowledging the Christmas, the merriment of the Christmas time, the New Year that they celebrate, which is good. We can appreciate that. So after that, then we'll get back on a consistent schedule. I just wanted to say that much, Toshka, without taking too much time. I know we're kind of going over, but why not? Yeah.
Oh, Pidama. Gifford, Lynette, is there anything else you want to add? Is there
I'm just proud of our college. I'm proud of being afforded the opportunity to be in the position of student body senate that I am. I'm proud to be back. It's amazing to be back here and be able to take part in these things and give back to the community that supports me and helps me and guides me and keeps me in my way of life. I'm at peace with things for the most part here, and I'm just grateful that, well, it's one of these, to have these things out here like this podcast, this format, as you say, to reach and touch each other and to be out there in a positive way, to let people know that we care and we want a better community, that we're for the community. And we've lived in dysfunction for so long that it's normal. And things like this are going to help get us back to help us realize that dysfunction is not normal. But also there's going to be growing pains, because getting back to functional and being healthier, it gets uncomfortable when we do that, because we get in touch with ourselves, we get in touch with other people's feelings, and we start caring about other people ahead of ourselves, and it promotes a community wellness. So it's going to be uncomfortable at times, but that uncomfortableness doesn't make it wrong or right. It's healthy and it's in a good way. So thank you for allowing me to be here, and I'll be back next week.
Oh, Pidama.
I was just listening to Uncle Tommy talk, and talking about how the men, when they get their feelers hurt, how they, like you said, they want to fight, and and us women, when and you men say it all the time, we're stronger than you guys. And we carry ourselves in a different way. And so when we get hurt, we can handle it better. We're not ready to fight anybody or anything else. We can handle it in a more humbling way. And so with that, I was just sitting there thinking about how, our times are changing, and we're getting more the women are getting more educated, whereas before they were just taking care of the homes. And so thinking about our reservation, and our superintendents, Point Fraser, our superintendents are Native American women from our homes here. They're right from born and raised right here. We got some women on our board. We're getting more and more on our board. You could see in the last 4 years ago, when all of those Indigenous women got on the Senate and became representatives for the United States. And now we got a female coming in as our vice president, and we got the congressman coming in as a head leader for Biden. And more women are taking these positions. Miss Gorno taking president seat for the college, and Carol Beamer was IHS for a long time. She just now retired. And so we got women stepping forward and taking a stand on more leadership roles. And so we talked about the Northern Cheyenne putting all those women in. So look out, Fort Peck. We got election coming up.
Oh.
But thank you for inviting me. It's great to be a part of this, and I hope more people start participating. And we are here for the betterment of our college and our people. So thank you.
Oh, Pinama, Lynette. And again, you touched on a lot of good things here. Just as a reminder, our discussion is open to everyone, students, community members, employees, and students. There's a Zoom invite sent directly to your student email, your employee email, so you can always join. We want to welcome any discussions, comments. We'll do our best to address those live here, streaming live to you every week. And everyone on Facebook, please just give us a like and a share. We utilize these different platforms to archive and to get the word out of what we're trying to do. So any feedback is good feedback, because we want to be able to address certain topics and improve what our services and what we're trying to do. So, and the more diverse groups and individuals that we have, it only enhance what we're trying to do. A couple other little quick plugs. For the college is spring 21 semester registration is open again. I have to remind the community about that. I think a few of the bold things that our institution is trying to do here is we're offering free tuition and fees, including books. So that's something I think that people should really consider wherever you're at. If you've stopped out for a few years and things have been challenging for you to get back in, I want people to really consider this as an opportunity, because not too many things in life are free, but we just ask that you show up and give some of your time, and we will provide all the resources you need, including internet, free laptops, meal plans. We have food cards for every student that it's at least 6 credits, which is basically 2 courses in your degree seeking. Easy peasy. It's free money. There's a lot of resources for you. So we have 20 some degrees and programs here. We're cultivating a environment where we have a lot more cultural resources that you can be a part of. And so I just wanted everybody to be aware of that. And how do we access this? Go to fpcc.edu. That's if you're a brand new student, transfer student, that's where you start. That's where you can apply. You can stop over at the War Eagle Vision Building. give us a call, 406-768-6370. That's the Student Services direct line. You can talk to any one of our staff Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 p.m., except for this week, Thursday and Friday, and next week, Thursday and Friday. But other than that, we're here during the weekday. And so virtual orientation is scheduled for January 13th. And so if you're interested, even if you're a returning student, maybe it's been a few years, we have a new process. Everything is, for the most part, online. There's a few face-to-face classes. We do what you call a hybrid model. So we, in a COVID-safe environment, students can still come into class with social distancing, with masks, all that good stuff. But students will be exposed to our new LMS system, which is learning management system, which is called Canvas. So that's how we students will be able to submit their coursework, look at their grades, everything in real time, long as you have access to the internet. So I think that it's really an offer that you can't refuse, as the Godfather would say. So please take advantage of that.
If they're eligible for PAL, they get the whole thing.
Oh yeah, you make a great point. You know, we even have the financial aid director here, but we are running a little short on time, but makes a good point. So when we pay for all the tuition and fees, any scholarships or grants, any awards that you would normally get, will go directly to you, the student. That's money in the bank, you know. A lot of our students, if they play their cards right, man, you need to go work. Just scholarships, money. So just like when Dexy Tommy used to dance, man, just throwing money at it, you know. So there's something I think is really unprecedented in this time. So we have a lot of good resources. I wanted to, again, share that with everybody. If you have any questions, hit us up on Facebook, ehopkins@fpcc.edu. 406-768-6371 is my direct contact information. So with that,
Wednesday at 3 again, Tushka.
Yeah, next week, Wednesday at 3, we'll probably have another open discussion. But again, follow us on Facebook, give us a share, give us a like, and we will see you at that time. And so in our way, we don't say goodbye. We say Dokshta Ke. We will see you again, relatives.
Yeah.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya Fort Beck Community College, Ukiebino, yo, me too, Gashi, Dagush, Kashka, Yogi, Piano, yo, Wata, baby, Agi, Tabi, Achia, ya, Bino, hey, yo, hey, yo. Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ha yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya Fort Beck Community College, Ukiebino, yo, me too, Gashi, Dagush, Kashka, Yogi, Piano, yo, Wata, Pebi, Hagik, Tabi, Ichachia, Yabino.
Hey, give me some lilies.
Had to throw it in there.
Okay. Henakja, Dakepi. Dokshake.
Duksha, okay.